trophy exited in the last 4 days. We lost 2-1 today to Aston Villa. What was your take on the game?
First of all, just want to send my condolences to you and your brother regarding your granddad, mate. So, sorry to hear that bad news, by the way.
Thank you.
It's important we say it because he's been a big part of this channel and he's always called in and offered great takes and pretty balanced opinions. So it's only right, mate. It's only right we mention it. Yeah. Look, today's game, Sim. I'm lost for words with you. I think you've completely lost the plot. I've got no idea where you're going. No, I'm serious. You're out of your mind. You're completely doolally. Like, what are you saying anymore? This manager is the worst manager in the history of Levy and Enoch's tenure. He is horrendous, an abomination of a manager. I said this back when we signed Werner. If you're going to accept players like Werner, this project is dead, and it's gone nothing but downwards ever since. I came on weeks ago and I said, sack him, get rid of him to save the season, bring in a manager so we can at least compete in the FA Cup, at least give that Carabao Cup semi-final a real chance, to give Europe a realistic chance. No. Fans like you want to keep him, you want to make every excuse under the sun for him, and what have we now got? From having a season that we might have salvaged something, we've got a manager who went to Anfield and put up zero fight. He failed to motivate the players. He failed to galvanise them. They showed nothing under this manager. And we bent over, we pulled our pants down, and we took it royally at Anfield. Everything I predicted that would happen. Then today, we go up to Aston Villa. You're thinking, right, let's see whether you can galvanise them, whether you can put some oomph into a cup game and save the season. First 45 minutes, horrendous. Shocking, the same old. Fullbacks are too high. Everyone wants to play midfield. Imagine, we play with 8 midfielders and we're still wide open in the middle. Defenders that look dysfunctional. The whole thing is rotten, man. And you defend him. You know, and I hear you say things like, oh, but they brought on Rashford and Asensio. They've got players to come on and freshen it up. I'm sorry. We signed Danso and Tell. They freshen it up.
They started, yeah.
Yeah, but they've come in to freshen up the team. We look just as bad with them. If Danso and Tell didn't sign, what's the difference? You know, we brought on Sarr and Basuma. Great, we got a 15-minute flurry of activity, and then we were back to normal after the 60th minute. This manager has got one way of playing. He's a one-trick pony. He can't manage difficult situations. He makes stupid substitutions. He plays players out of position and expects us to get any kind of result. Sim, he's the worst manager Spurs have ever had. He's horrendous. Conte had a worse team. He got us top 4 twice. Mourinho had a shambolic team. He got us to a cup final. And he comes in, Billy Big Bollocks. Here we are, mate. Yeah, I win trophies everywhere I go, mate. Really? And he put this whole season on a pedestal up there. He told us, I want a challenge for the title. I always win trophies in my second season. My God, are you eating these words? You are chewing on your words, man. He is a joke. But the ultimate blame lies with Daniel Levy. Because Daniel Levy, this schmuck of a chairman, this wise guy, he brings in a yes man who's going to do everything that he says. He's going to be this shield of barrier, this defensive mechanism to protect his arse. And what did he do? He cut the wage bill. He asset stripped the club. He brings in mediocre signings. This project of Daniel Levy's, this data-driven, low-wage bill project has spectacularly backfired because we are witnessing the absolute worst season in the history of Tottenham Hotspur since this chairman's been in charge. This project of Levy's has backfired beyond all belief. So I don't blame you, Sim, but you are culpable because you defend this rubbish. You defend this chairman. There's only so far you can use injuries as an excuse. We're not even putting up a fight. We don't win the first ball. We don't challenge for the second ball. We can't complete 5 passes. We look dysfunctional at the back. We look non-existent in midfield. Our front three are shocking. They're rubbish. Even when they're fit, they're rubbish. This is what Levy's built, and Lange and Ange are part of this con job of a project that they fleeced to the fans. Any fan that bought into this, shame on you, because you've learned nothing. You've learned nothing about this chairman, and you've learned nothing about how this club operates. What I saw today was literally a surrender. We surrendered the game. We rolled out the red carpet in that first half and said, go on then, do as you wish, Aston Villa. They haven't been to the 5th round of the FA Cup in 10 years. Of course, Dr. Tottenham turned up. There you go. Next round. Congratulations. The doctor served up the medicine. I don't understand how you can defend it, Sim. I don't. And I don't understand.
All I'm doing is being consistent. All I'm doing is being consistent on my opinion that if the amount of injuries we've had for the amount of time we've had them for is going to have a massively detrimental effect on the squad. That's all I've said. And that situation hasn't changed. And I know it's boring to say, and I know it's getting tiring, but the reality is the situation's only gotten worse since that is the thing I said. So that would be hypocritical of me to then turn around and say, I now expect results with that same situation, right? Against the teams like Liverpool and Villa, who are very good, who had not as many injuries or for not as much time, or who are in a better way than we are, who had longer days rest than we've had. That's all I've said. I've just been very consistent. I've just been very consistent in my opinion.
Sim, I'm not having it. No, you've been consistently wrong. You've defended this donkey. You've consistently defended this donkey, and you've been wrong at every juncture. Are you telling me Plymouth are better than Spurs?
That's a great point, Stel. Look at Liverpool's team today. They rested a lot of players, right? They had a lot of players out today, Liverpool. Not out, they changed it. For one game, by the way, they decided to change their whole team, right? And they even had the likes of Diaz, Jota in the team. A lot of good players, but they had a lot of their best players not playing today. For one game, and they lost to Plymouth in the Championship. For one game, right? No. What I'm saying is that's one game Liverpool had, and they lost to Plymouth. Yeah. So we've had it for 3 months. 3 months we've had this situation. And so you cannot see what kind of effect that would have. Liverpool rested a few players against us in the first leg of the Carabao, and we beat them 1-0. They then had their best team, and they beat us 4-0. Can you not see what a massive effect that has?
No, I don't. All right,
then you're the one who's blind, in my opinion.
No, because I've been right all season long from day one when I said it. You're wrong every single week. You're the kind of fan that sits there telling the world, oh, but give Ange a chance. Give him the cups. He has sabotaged the cups. This is everything I said would happen. I said if you keep him, kiss goodbye to the season. It's you that said keep him and give him the cups. Now look what you've got. Nada.
I don't think sacking him would have brought these players back from injury. I don't know what would have changed if
Sim, we're not even putting up a fight anymore, man. Birmingham City put more of a fight up against Newcastle than we've put up in the last God knows how many months. I watched Plymouth put up a fight against Newcastle. Leighton Orient, the mighty Leighton Orient, with Spurs' Donnelly, put more of a fight against Man City than we've shown against any decent team. It's unacceptable. You cannot defend it. Like, we're not even fighting Sim. We're not even putting in the second ball challenge. We look exasperated of desire.
I think the word you're looking for is exhausted, Stel. I think the word you're looking for is exhausted.
No, we're not exhausted because where did that energy come from in the first 15 minutes of the second half then if we're knackered?
We tried to get something out of it. Well, I don't think it was energy. We tried to up the game, but then what happened? We got caught because we couldn't keep it up.
Sorry. The first 15 minutes of the second half wasn't energy. Of course it was. What happened was Ange put a rocket up their arse. Why can you do that before kickoff? Why can you do that at Anfield? Why can you do that at half time? Sim, this manager is dead. He's rubbish, right? I'm not expecting miracles, by the way. I agree that injuries has a consequence, but not to this level. I'm sorry, not to the level where we can't even fight. And I want to move it on, actually, because I don't want to sit here ranting about and how you defend him. I want to talk about how Simon mentioned that he half agrees with Sean Butler, who says the protest won't work. I'm sorry, Sean Butler is trying to sabotage change. He is the biggest Levy sympathiser on YouTube, okay? How can you say the protest won't work if we haven't tried? We haven't tried to get thousands and thousands of fans to turn up to a protest. Let 5,000, let 10,000 fans turn up to a protest consistently, and then tell me it doesn't work. Of course it works, but we've never tried it as a fan base. I'm sick to death of fans saying rubbish such as, oh, protests don't work, but you haven't tried. I'm not talking about you and you and Simon, because you have been to protests. I'm talking about the thousands and thousands of fans and the Seans of this world who try to sabotage every attempt we make to bring about change by putting obstacles in the way. There's always an obstacle they put in the way because they don't want to do the one thing they're scared to do, which is fight for change. These are the kind of obstacles that I'm hearing.
What are the obstacles, though? What are the obstacles?
I'll tell you. I don't want a new owner until I get a 25-page report on my desk of what the new owner looks like. Yeah. I don't want change until I get a dossier on my desk by Friday morning telling me the background of the owner. What are these obstacles we're putting in the way?
But Stel, is it not fair to say? Is it not fair to say that if you're going to call for an owner, you'd want to know who's coming in? Is that not fair to say?
Sim, it doesn't matter what we think, right? You can want Elon Musk. You could want the owner of Google. It doesn't matter because we don't know who wants to buy Spurs. We don't know what is out there.
But let's say Mike Ashley wanted to take over at Tottenham. Would you be calling for Levy out if Mike Ashley was the alternative?
Sim, of course not. But
exactly,
we don't know.
So it is important. It's important that we know.
No. That's not the obstacle that's being put in place. The obstacle that's being put in place is fans like Sean want us to tell him who we want. It doesn't matter who I want. I have no say in who the owners sell the club to. I don't know who wants to buy Tottenham Hotspur. So what does it matter what I think in terms of a new ownership? The reality is this: whatever owner we get, we don't know what's going to happen. They might be better. They might be worse. They might be Levy 2.0. The question is this: do you want to put up with this for another 25 years?
No.
Or do you want to roll the dice and see what might happen? That's
Absolutely.
The question. That's where we should be. But all I hear
I agree with you, Stel. I agree with you. Look, it's fair to have your voices heard. I agree with you. And if you want to organise a protest and you want to say we're not happy with where the things are going and we won't change, that's fair enough. But there are fans out there who have the opinion. I'm not going to call for change when I don't know what the change is. The change could be worse. I think that's a fair opinion as well.
That's the problem. But that's the problem, right?
Is that not a fair opinion?
You don't want change unless you know what it looks like. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
What if it's worse? What if someone worse comes in?
Yeah, but I just explained that to you. That's the risk we take.
I'm saying yes. You want to roll the dice. There are some fans who don't want to roll the dice. That's fine.
Well, then they shouldn't moan about the team losing. They shouldn't moan about the managers not being good enough. They shouldn't moan about transfers. They shouldn't moan about finances. They shouldn't moan about failure then. If you don't want to take the risk, stop moaning. But what we've got is this fan base of moaners and complainers and whingers that want to suffocate the conversation without taking any action. I'm hearing now from people, I'll only go to a protest if it's family friendly. They want health and safety officers. They want health and safety officers at the protests. They want family friendly zones. They want ice cream trucks. What are we doing? Are we a fan base? Are we a political organisation?
I think it's a different generation still. I think things have changed over the years. I mean, like I said, when my dad was protesting about sugar, it's a lot different to what we are and are not allowed to do in today's world. So I think people are protesting their own way, whether it's putting a message up or putting Levy out in the chat or whatever it is, or going to the protest. I think as long as they're on the same wavelength for the message, I think that's the key thing. I think your point is, you know, some people are calling out that, well, but I want to change the manager, the chairman, or the ownership, but before I make my decision, I want to know who it is. It's just not gonna happen that way. So, like from my perspective, is that I know the only way, realistically, the only way you're gonna get the ownership out is a takeover, or we hit them where it hurts, i.e., money. That last bit is not going to happen because the events are too strong that they do. They probably don't even need football anymore, to be honest, but they still have it. And the only way they're going to do it is fans don't go. If I don't turn up at a match, someone else will take my seat. The money will still be there. So it's an impossible thing there. So like we have to keep showing the message of Levy out, ENIC out. As I said, I go to all the protests. Okay, I feel like sometimes I'm not doing too much. I'm still holding a balloon or holding a banner or whatever. It's something. It's portraying a message. It's being covered by the media more than ever before, which is absolutely fantastic. But you know, I think your point is good in the sense that, well, if you're not happy with everything, but you're not necessarily willing to come to the protest, or at least show some form of initiative towards it, then don't complain. It's like when if you don't vote for a government and they're messing things up and you start complaining about it, well, you didn't vote, so what can you say about it? So I think we're in a predicament here where I personally think the fan base is more divided than it has been ever before in my lifetime. And I think that's a major concern. I think it's a sad thing more than anything. But I feel like Simon, maybe the last 6 months, 12 months at least, that more and more people than ever before have been coming on to the bandwagon, for a better word, of ENIC out and what it stands for. But realistically, what can we change in this short term at this moment in time?
Simon, this is defeatist. This is defeatist talk. I'm sorry, right?
But how is it defeatist? I've just said that I'm a protester, and I think we need to keep protesting.
Because what we need is real action, and I'll explain.
Explain what the real action is, though. Let's get some answers.
I'll explain it to you. I've said it many a time on my channel. We need mass scale protests, like numbers we've not seen before. And the same applies to boycotts, because when you have a huge scale protest, the media are all over it. It's in the media's interest to broadcast it because they will get eyeballs, they will get clicks. That's how they generate revenue. Big story, Spurs fans revolt against Levy. When there's a boycott, the stadium is empty. It hurts their pockets, like you said. It needs to be mass scale action, because what then happens is this. The NFL pick up the phone to Daniel Levy and say, Daniel, there's a lot of toxicity at your club, and this is not the image we want to portray for the NFL. The corporate box holders who spend thousands of pounds to wine and dine their guests and try and do business, they don't want a toxic environment in which to do business. Then you've got AIA and Nike. They'll pick up the phone to Daniel and say, this is a bad look on us. And by the way, Daniel, we're not selling any kits. This sponsorship deal doesn't work. What we do is we make it so untenable by making it toxic, not flipping cars upside down on the high street, not throwing petrol bombs at the White House, but a toxic situation where there is a fan revolt, where Levy is either forced to step down, or there is some kind of, from above, Joe Lewis says, I don't want this anymore. I don't need this in my life anymore, and I don't need this around me. We have to make it untenable for them. But the thing is, Simon, we don't even try. We think by putting a Twitter comment, #LevyOut, you see, I'm doing my bit, or by going on YouTube and moaning about Levy and ENIC, it means nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
We need mass scale revolt. And I go back to what I said before. There is no guarantees we will get a better owner. There is no guarantees we will get the kind of change we want to see by changing Levy and ENIC. But what we are guaranteed is, if we keep these schmucks in charge, we're going to get more mediocre transfers, a wage bill that will never move, to the direction it needs to compete, to sign the caliber of players that demand a higher wage. We will never win trophies. We will never truly back a manager. And we are now stuck in this rot of appointing yes men like Langes and Munns and Anges. Nothing changes unless we get rid of them.
How do we boycott, still? How do we boycott?
Simon, we boycott by fans choosing to boycott, and we're not choosing to do it. So when I said 2 years ago, we can't keep blaming Levy anymore, we can't keep blaming ENIC anymore, the fans are to blame. The fans who refuse to take action but want to moan when we lose, when we don't sign Eze, when we don't sign Neto, when the tactics aren't right because that's the manager Levy's hired, when we sack managers when we shouldn't sack them, when we don't run the football team the way we run the property portfolio, the events that generate huge revenues, the way we run the rest of the business, we don't give that love, care, desire and ambition to the football team. That's what you get with Levy and ENIC. Do you want this to continue? If the answer is yes, don't ever moan again. Don't ever come on this channel, my channel, YouTube, Twitter, and complain. How dare you complain if you accept it? It's like being in a marriage where she cheats on you, she cheats on you, she cheats on you, and every time your choice is, I'm not going to leave, I'm going to stay with her because I hope one day she doesn't cheat on me. You can't blame her anymore. Or if you're a woman, you can't blame him anymore. You've got to look at yourself and say, I'm accepting this. Look, if new owners come in, God willing, they might be better, they might not. I just don't want this anymore, guys. I'm not prepared to sit here knowing what the outcome is going to be every season under this ownership, which is failure and mediocrity. And for me, defending Ange is part of the problem because he's part of this con job. He's part of this Project Levy, which has massively backfired. It's a catastrophe what Levy's done with his new project. Since getting rid of Conte, he's brought in data analysts, he's brought in Munn and Lange and Ange, this new direction. It's a disaster. It's an absolute mess. And yes, you can blame injuries to some degree, but not to the extent of what we're witnessing right now, guys. I'm sorry, you can't. Levy's got to go, Lange has got to go, and Ange has got to go. They all stink. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'll wrap it up, guys, I don't want to steal the show. And as far as I'm concerned, defending this any longer is complicit in the downfall of Tottenham Hotspur. And that's me, guys.
All right, Stel. Appreciate you coming on, mate.
Much love.
Nice to see you. And we'll
Take care,
speak to
guys.
you soon.